Hi, Sarah. Hey, Sarah, can you hear me? Hello. Okay. Hello, Susan. Whoops.
Hi, Elaine. Now I'm unmuted.
Okay, great. I'm gonna turn my mail off here. How are you, Susan?
I'm the same. I think that's how it's in this little bubble, everything's fine. It's
Yeah.
just when I open my eyes beyond, to me, is getting, I don't know if worse is the right word.
Yeah.
Just harder and harder to understand. I am at a loss to understand the methodology behind reopening.
I'm
And
not sure there is a methodology. It's kind
well,
of,
yeah,
yeah,
methodology in quotes.
right. Yeah. I think I've seen you riding your bike when I've done my harbor walk.
I mostly I've been walking, but we've been out a couple times
I think
on
I saw
bikes
you.
when
Yeah.
it's kind of in the 50s. It's nice,
Yeah.
and
Right. Yeah.
which hasn't been too often. So
No, I've been trying to get out on those good days. Sarah, can you hear us? Come on. Let's see. We need to get Sarah to hear us. Let's see. Did you want, do, do you want to be on the video? I can see that I can change that. I don't know if you want to start your video. Is that okay?
Oh, were you talking to me, anyone?
Oh, hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Are you choosing not to do the video?
Yes, but only because I'm in my kitchen and the Wi-Fi is really bad in here,
Okay.
so I think it doesn't work as well.
I'm
I'm
just
waving at you.
I'm just not sure as host if I'm supposed to do anything different. So that's why I'm just asking you.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think when people join, they can just choose. And yesterday I tried to do it in my kitchen with a work meeting and it just kept freezing up when I'm in the kitchen and I'm trying to, well, truth is I got 50 pounds of bread flour delivered and I'm doling it out to all my friends. So I'm multitasking here.
That's great. Well, we have 3 packages of yeast we're probably not going to use if you want them.
Oh, you're so lovely. Molly actually mailed me yeast from New Orleans that should be arriving today because it's so easy to get there and not here. Do you need flour?
No, we have some flour, the little container that the marketplace is selling. They're divvying up their King Arthur flour.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, they're doing a good job.
We haven't even really been in. We've just sort of been home, you know?
Okay, I have to admit people and it wasn't kind of
weird.
It's Gary. Hi, Gary.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
There we go. Okay, so hopefully we'll see Mia. Richard just called. He was on his way back from Hyannis, so he may be a little late. So I'll have to keep an eye out for him because I have to let people in, admit people.
Susan,
Yes.
thank you so much for the quick response from Habitat.
Well, they were the quick ones. I mean, that was great. And I was really pleased because a week or two ago, they had stopped working. And, you know, I thought that was going to mean we weren't on this great trajectory to be, they're supposed to be in the houses in June.
So maybe, Susan, if it's okay, can we either put Elaine or Pelinda from the CDP in touch with your family and get a quote or two?
Yes, let me reach out to Lisa first.
Okay.
She is, I don't know if you met her, but
I did meet her once, yes.
she's lovely. And I've been in very close touch with her all throughout this, but she's timid.
But her husband is not.
No, not at all. So
It'd be nice to get the word out that he's a painter too, so.
Yes, right.
yeah, that's a great idea.
Oh, that's right. That's a good hook, Elaine.
So I will text Lisa, you know, later on this morning and just ask if it's okay if she and or Alan talk to somebody, and I'm sure they'll be totally fine with it. In fact, you know, they understand it's kind of their part of their deal is they promote this. So, and then I'll just, when she says yes, I will email you her cell phone, which is, I have her email too, but either her cell phone or her email. I'm sure she'll be fine. I'll send you both.
Susan, in the time-honored tradition of marketing, you could simply write the quote and say, "How do you feel about saying this?"
That I would be happy to do.
Okay, so think about if she's not excited about it, maybe we could do something like that.
I think if I put it as both of them and Alan would get a chance to talk about what he does, that would be enough of a hook. And they're charming. I mean, I think it'd be good if they did it. So, but I'll be happy to, if she says, I don't want to do it, but you can quote me, then I'm happy to do it too.
Okay.
Let's see, I'm trying to admit Mia. There she is. Hi, Mia. Gary, I also think the CDP might have some ideas of some of the questions they might want to ask, because they've done great interviews with people in their newsletters before.
Yeah.
And I just think there's just an interesting opportunity here, but that's great.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I'm sure they'll be fine, and I think they will be good for somebody to talk to.
Right.
Hello,
And
Mia?
it's such a
Hi.
success story, and it was a long time in the making.
Absolutely.
Okay, we have a quorum now. Mia is with us. Good morning, Mia.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good, Mia. How are you?
I'm very well. It's a beautiful day. A little chilly, but it's beautiful.
Yes, it is. Okay, I am going to call the meeting to order. Richard will be joining us as soon as he can. Let's see. He did send us out minutes. I didn't include that in our packet. I can call them up on my computer. Let's see. They were pretty perfect as always. So did anybody get a chance to read them when Richard sent them around?
I thought they look good.
They look good to me too.
Let's just review them real quickly. You think you're ready for these meetings, and then all these things come up that you realize you haven't done. Oh. Too many. Here we go. All right. We approved the regular rental assistance for May for $23.97. We approved the CDP bill for the month of $1,050. We paid the LPS bill, that's for our info line. We voted to extend rental assistance to the current recipients through October. We reported on the work that's been going on with the CDP, on the info line and the newsletter. And then we reviewed the RFP and the design guidelines, and we put the Route 6 cottage on the back burner. So is there a motion to approve the minutes of April?
So moved.
I second.
Okay, any more discussion, additions, corrections?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You're raising your hand, right? Yeah, good. All right. Bills, Gary, do we have any bills?
We have to approve the June rental assistance again in the amount of 2,397.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the rental assistance in the amount of not 23,000. What was it? 23?
2,397.
23.97.
Is there a second?
I think someone else has to second it. Mia?
I'll
Maybe
second.
didn't
I can
mean to
second.
drop
Yep. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Rental assistance is next up. I was hoping Richard might be here by now, but there's a little bit to report. As you know, we were a little concerned. Oops, me. Why does that say that? We were a little concerned of our funding dwindling and not having town meeting till October now.
Mhm.
It's a bit of an issue, but Gary and Richard have conferred with the town accountant, and apparently we have just barely enough to possibly get through to town meeting. But if not, Dan Hort has inquired with town council about the possibility to transfer some funds to help out, which is great. And
Okay.
he's looking for that. So we don't have any news specifically about that yet, but we seem to be okay for the next period.
Elaine, I'm sorry, you cut out for a while on mine. Did you talk about how much money we have left?
Well, Gary, you said it was around 14,000.
Correct.
Yeah, so if, without any additional requests, which, we may start seeing those soon, we'll be okay for a couple of months. But as I said, Dan Hort is looking for potential transfers of funds to help, and really appreciate that. So hopefully we'll have more news about that next month.
Did you talk about the CPC at all?
Just not yet. You mean the meeting and the?
Well,
Regional?
making another request, yeah. I didn't, I'm sorry, I lost about 5 minutes of the meeting.
I did too. It froze and I missed it.
You're back. Okay. All right. So rental assistance, we have just barely enough funding to meet our commitments up until the town meeting in October, but that's without any additional requests. But Dan Hort he has communicated to the town council asking if there's any possibility to transfer, like there's unused funds in the snow removal budget from this winter. So he was looking for, a legal way to possibly make something happen to help support the rental assistance.
Have we been in touch with any other towns who are in the same boat? I don't know for sure who's moving their town meetings and who isn't, but.
Yeah, there was actually a big Zoom meeting of most of the towns on the Lower Cape. I think almost everybody was represented, talking about rental assistance and the potential for setting up some kind of regional assistance, maybe more like emergency, but that was a good discussion amongst a lot of the towns.
Good.
And Richard, who's not here yet, agreed they want a small group with a representative from each town and some of the nonprofits. And Richard agreed to at least attend the first meeting and
Right.
see what was being, talked about. But Gary also had an idea because of this meeting about potentially asking for more CPC funds. Do you want to talk about that, Gary?
Sure. I sent an email. Now I'm wearing my CPC hat. And I sent an email to Dan and to Janet. And I haven't heard back yet, which is a little discouraging. But based upon the regional meeting that we had, some people just asked for a general amount to be put into their trust fund.
Mhm.
And they use that as they see fit. And my thought was that if the town meeting was moved to October, we would have enough time to have another round of CPC applications, review and grants, and for us to ask for a substantial amount. I just threw out the idea of 250,000.
Okay. So I think I let you in. Let me end the phone call. Whoops.
Is it Richard?
Yeah, it's
Are
Richard.
we technical difficulties?
See him, yeah.
Let me call him back.
You want me to continue or wait, Elaine?
Hang on just a sec. Yeah.
Okay.
Won't it be nice when we can all meet in person again someday?
Yes, one day.
Someday.
Sarah, can I ask you a question as an aside?
Sure.
How are summer rentals looking?
So that's an
We
interesting
tried to
question.
join the
here.
meeting. Well, I sent, are you going to do it from your phone or the computer? Okay, I sent the link again this morning, so you could just click on the link.
We're canceling them, Gary, basically.
Yeah, and not
All of
not
them?
many new bookings, I assume.
Well, we're getting new bookings from people that want to be here for
No,
long
let's
term.
see. Let me
For-
look at.
Did you say
the-
longer, Sarah?
Yeah, like my cousins are actually, they usually visit us for a week, but we just found them a place for 3 months, so we're seeing more of that.
Oh, wow.
But there are still so many bookings, and I know there's a proposal before the select board to outlaw sort of weekly rentals for the season,
Okay.
Mhm.
and I just don't
No, not a
know.
problem. It's an email that was before the one about the Mass General Law. It says Zoom meeting. It shows HTTPS. If you click on that, then I should then see you and be able to admit you. There we go. Hang on. I'm going to admit you. Okay. Yeah, great. Okay. I'm going to hang up the phone, I guess. Bye. Okay. Yay.
Hi, Richard.
Success.
I don't know if he's on yet.
He's still connected.
There he
There
is.
he is.
Hey.
Hi, Richard.
You're still muted, though, I think. Can you unmute yourself? There we go.
Okay.
All
Hi,
right.
Richard.
Yay.
Hi,
Oi.
Richard.
Hey, Richard. We approved your wonderful minutes.
Oh,
Thank you.
I apologize, everybody. By the time I got out of the cardiologist, my blood pressure was on the moon.
Ooh,
Oh, no.
And it had nothing to do with my blood pressure. But anyway, here I am. I'm sorry for being late.
that's
No.
okay.
Okay.
We're glad to have you.
Yeah, we're all
So I
here.
was just asking Elaine, Sarah, an aside about summer bookings, and she
Mhm.
was just
Wow.
going to give an answer.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a really hard, there were some emails going around from some people in the real estate business last night sort of saying we need weekly rentals, and it's so hard. There's so many issues at play. I mean, I'm so concerned about our whole, and I know this isn't the point of this meeting, but I'm so worried about all of our people, and not just in our town, but globally, obviously.
Mhm.
But I mean, locally, how do people make it through next winter if we don't have a summer? You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
I don't know what the answers are. I don't know what's going to happen in 30 days from now with all these states opening up. What is this health of our nation going to look like? Whatever. So in answer to your question, which was rentals, Gary, I just don't know. I know we've canceled a lot. I know a lot of people have bookings. It's just kind of a mess. I don't know what this summer will look like for any of us, Do
Mm,
you guys?
Do you
No.
think that there will be any effect in the near future on sales?
I can't tell, Mia. I mean, we're not working. I haven't been working. Yeah, I mean, I can answer questions remotely, but nobody's looking at houses. They shouldn't be right now. You know what I
No,
mean?
of course. I was just wondering if it would lead to a drop in general, but
I don't
in
know.
price.
I could see it going either way. I mean, I just don't know, but I could
Yeah.
see many people deciding that a place like this is actually, there's so many benefits that we have from being able to be outdoors and, so
Mhm.
I just don't know. I don't know about anything.
Sarah, predict the future for me. Come
Yeah,
on.
I wish I could, it's
Oh,
just a
thank
hard
you.
time for everybody. And I know Susan, when we started, just said it's just getting a little harder. And I think that's true. It's hard on everybody. And we're in the most fortunate positions, I think, for the most part, right? We're just home,
We are.
so.
We are.
Sarah,
Yeah.
Sarah, what has happened to mortgage rates?
They're very low right now, actually. And there's some thought that they might go even lower. A 30-year fixed is just over 3% right now. So,
Wow.
It really brings in, makes homes affordable to people who would not have been.
yes.
Yeah. Well, one
Yes, it
more
does.
question.
Yeah.
I've been like beating the drum on Facebook about, because everyone is worried about, can I rent my house out this summer and can I do this? And I keep reminding people that they could rent for the summer to locals,
Yeah.
like for the whole season. And that's had like a little movement, but have you seen any progress there? Has anyone contacted you saying, I don't want to do short term, I want to rent for the season. Can you help me find someone?
So the problem is, I think what makes things so hard right now is that most summer rentals get booked in January and February. So many weekly rentals. So almost all the homes that we handle have weeks booked already, and those leases are in place if people haven't asked to get out of them. So
Okay.
that's what makes it so complicated. You know what I mean? If this
Okay.
were
Yeah.
fall and you were looking towards the next year, then that could be a shift. You know what I mean? But because most people have committed leases, and there's been some very, on Wellfleet community space, I've seen some very angry tenants who
Mhm.
haven't been able to get their money back for their rentals yet. And, as the position we're in is the contract is between the homeowner and the tenant. So we actually can't, we don't have the funds and we don't have the right to just give, it has to come from the owner. They have to release the money.
Right.
We were actually, this is a total aside and then I'll be quiet, but we were supposed to be on our way to North Carolina to the Outer Banks on
Oh,
May
boy.
16th for a week. And I let them know that, we wouldn't be coming. And they just told me they're not refunding any of our money because North Carolina is opening up again. And I'm like, well, we're not coming. You know what I mean? Like, no one should
That
be.
seems to be, yeah. On the Wellfleet page too, that's the issue, right? Because
Yeah.
people are saying, well, you can come theoretically, and people are saying, well, I would rather not die. So
Right, and put people at risk. And I'm like, I'm not going to drive through New York and New Jersey and take my family somewhere doing completely non-essential things. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So do the right thing and give us our money back so we can come next year. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
no such luck. So I don't know. It's a hard It's a hard thing for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
thank you for answering that.
Yeah, we're all curious about those things. for
Yeah,
sure.
it's,
Sarah,
Yeah.
when is that item going to go before the select board for
so
banding?
I think I heard, let me see, I have an email. I think it's next Tuesday.
It's the 12th, right? Yes, the 12th.
Next Tuesday? Yeah.
Mhm.
And is it's to ban weekly rentals to anyone or to,
So the email I got said that they were going to make it 30 days or more. Mia, is that correct?
That is, as I understand it, yeah, unless they change it, but I think it's 30 days or more.
It
That
should
you, that you could do 30 days or more?
Yes.
be 30 days or more, but
But
not.
that's a
weekly.
pretty steep cliff. I mean, that would knock out what percentage of rentals, Sarah? Like 70?
I don't know. I could ask our rental agent, and I don't know what you do with all the existing leases. Do you just require homeowners that have accepted deposits to return them? What if they don't? What if
Have
they
the money.
the money?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right, right.
just, and again, I don't have an answer. I don't know what the right thing is. I can't imagine anyone really knows exactly what's right here. There's so many hard questions to answer and so many different
Mhm.
factors, you know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then there's the whole, oh God, we could go forever. I mean, what happens with you know,
Yeah.
it's a whole thing for all of us and everyone that lives and works here, and health is paramount, you know, so,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know how we figure the rest out, you know.
Neither.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what they decide on Tuesday. For
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, so I just want to catch Richard up from the minutes. We approved the June rental assistance of $2,397. And then we just started talking about rental assistance, and Gary and I kind of feel, and I hope you agree based on our conversations with Jean in the accounting office, there seems to still be about 14,000 from either the CDBG or whatever. So we're going to go with that, assuming that will take us close to town meeting. But at the same time, Dan Hort is very concerned, and he is looking for a potential way to transfer some funds to deal with rental assistance, including any additional applications we might get in the next month or two. And then as part of that idea,
Elaine,
yeah.
can I just, so essentially, not to worry for a few months.
we're going to try not to worry, but hopefully we do get a little additional funding to make
Funding.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But on the concept of funding, Gary had proposed an idea that he was just starting to talk about, and then we'll talk about the regional thing.
Okay.
so I chair the CPC and I'm wearing that hat now. And I said, since town meeting has been pushed back to October,
Right.
we have enough time to have a application and grant round for CPC if we choose to. And the question is, can we add articles to the town meeting warrant? And if we can, and we've sent a request to both the chair and to Dan, and we haven't heard back yet. But if we can, then the idea would be to ask for a substantial amount of money. And I propose 250,000, but I don't know what the right number is, and that's a discussion for today. But the idea would be, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of the impact on the economy and rent, and as well as mortgage. We simply don't know. And really, the impact hasn't really been felt yet, for the most part. It's months going forward that are going to be the toughest. And the idea would be we'd have that as a emergency fund to use as we saw fit. If it turned out that the emergency wasn't as deep or as compelling as we thought, then we could then, since that's not designated money, but money going to the trust fund, we could use those funds for other purposes. And I was actually thinking of the buy down because of the low mortgage rates, and perhaps the the flat to declining house prices. But whatever it is, we would have that money then to use for other reasons. And so the question is, should we have a CPC meeting and a CPC funding round with the idea of putting an additional article onto the town warrant for a substantial amount of money?
This, if it goes into the trust fund, it's not actually related to rental assistance then. It
Right,
would
we
be
have to
other things.
finesse that a little bit, Elaine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do people think?
Gary, I would chime in the sense that I think I agree with you. Well, I agree with you, and then what I think you're saying is, as we look to the future, where there's just no way to calibrate the impact of this, and I don't want to get way off track here, but I would say this. Remember a few years ago, the norovirus hit the shell fishermen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's there's no comparison here. But what is interesting is my experience with St. Vincent de Paul then was, it was very, very striking how long the ripple effect of that played itself out. And that was a small, local, concentrated event. This is much larger. Granted, there are other streams coming in from, the county, the state, the federal government, all the rest of that stuff. But I think you're right that we have to look past the next few months for people people still feeling the impact of this. So I'm very supportive of this idea. And of course, and if it doesn't happen, you've got a lot of other good ideas there you just mentioned for what to do with the money. So
my other thought, Richard, was if we don't do this, then even though we have a substantial, close to $1 million in the CPC funds that are not designated yet, we won't be able to use them until next July at the earliest. So this would give us the hedge in the lean winter months that we might really need.
right.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Has the CPC met about this concept, Gary?
No, we haven't at all. I was sort of waiting for Dan and Janet to get back and say,
I'm multitasking. I'm listening into a housing authority meeting,
oh,
which
Susan,
I'm not.
I can mute her.
Can you mute Susan, Elaine?
Okay.
You have as the host power, you should be able to mute her.
there you go.
I think it's a good idea too. Sorry, not to interrupt Gary, but I agree with Sarah. I think we need to be as prepared as we humanly can be for the winter, because it might be very difficult.
I mean, I think we need to make sure to identify, if we're asking for it sort of ostensibly to help, we have to make sure it can do that. But also at the same time, having it available as we look towards 95 Lawrence and stuff too is a great thing. We'll talk a little bit more about our work session with the select board, but Michael DeVasto kept saying, how can we add town funds to that project to, help it along? And anything that's in the trust fund could also help with that.
Yeah.
Elaine, I'll have to get an opinion, but could we ask for a sum of money, let's say 250,000, 50,000 would go into rental assistance, the town rental assistance fund, and 200 into the trust fund or something like that on the same article?
Well, we are asking, we have our article in for like 100,000
Right, we could increase that.
for rental assistance.
Yep, we could potentially increase that.
Because
Probably have to be separate. We could probably ask to increase the article,
Yeah.
We'd have to check in. I think,
Yeah, I don't know either.
yeah.
the numbers of people, just in terms of, I know you're saying this, but the numbers of people who will come to us for rental assistance will, I imagine that's going to blossom.
Mhm,
I agree. I think it's overly optimistic to think otherwise.
mhm. Well, would we like to agree that have Gary go forward and find out about the options and maybe draft an article to
Yes. Do we
present?
need to move that Gary does that?
Yes, well, is it, I don't know that we have, you would do that as a CPC guy, right?
Exactly. I mean, I represent housing on CPC, but I also represent the CPC in general. So
Yeah, I mean, you don't need us to,
it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
But all you're expressing is an expression of support for the idea of providing substantial emergency funds if needed.
I move that Gary looks into that for us. Make it sound better than that, Rich.
I'm trying, Mia. A motion, a motion to support the proposal to ask CPC, is that the way to put it, Gary? Ask CP for, I'll put in a number, $250,000 to support housing needs,
Yeah,
Yeah.
housing needs going forward.
sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay, that was Mia moved that. Is there a second?
Second.
Sarah seconds. Any more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Great.
all right, I'll clean that up, Gary.
Thank you very much. So I think the action will be for me to call a CPC meeting and get a feel. And then hopefully by then we'll get a response from Dan or Janet. Have you seen or heard from Janet recently? Elaine?
I heard she broke her wrist. She might have had a fall and broke her wrist.
Oh, okay.
Janet Reinhardt?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrible.
I'm going to remind everybody, these meetings are recorded, so.
I'm sorry. No more gossip.
Gary, I will preface that with a sentence that I hope will capture your and our concerns about what's going to happen down the road, and then put that in.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay. Going back then to, thank you, Gary, for thinking ahead. Regional Rental Assistance Program. Richard, Gary, myself, I think Susan might have attended. The CDP called a meeting about the potential to work regionally around rental assistance, and some towns have programs, some are interested, and because of the current situation, assuming the need is going to increase. And there was general interest about it, and they talked about forming a small group to start to look at this. And I spoke with Richard, and he did agree to attend the first meeting and see what happens from there. The feeling was that if we could regionalize an effort, it might qualify for more funding from other sources. So,
What's the definition of regional in this case?
I'm sorry, Mia, what?
Say again, Mia?
What's the region? Are we talking about the outer Cape, half the Cape, the whole Cape? Like how far does the region?
The lower Cape, probably, the 8 towns,
Good.
So-
potentially.
Awesome.
Provincetown, Truro, Wellfleet, Eastham, Orleans, Brewster, Harwich, Chatham.
That's it, I think.
That's it.
Mhm.
Awesome. I mean, I feel like the bigger the coalition, the more leverage we'll have if applying for state funds. So good.
Elaine, you have I don't want to call it a reservation, but a concern about going forward with this, but also keeping local rental assistance programs local.
Well, I think there's a bunch of questions. I know like other towns' rental assistance programs have different limits and funding, and a lot of them are lower than ours, and I don't think meet the need as much as our
Right.
clients have tended to need. So I wouldn't want to reduce what we're doing.
Right,
But if as a region, we can add a layer that will be additionally helpful, that has maybe the same guidelines.
right.
Yeah, or if we could treat it as supplemental to our own rental assistance funding.
Yeah, but, right. And Gary, I know you had some questions about if, how's the money going to get into that pool? Is every town going to give? And is the money towns give just for their own, people? So, none of that has been worked out yet. It was just sort of the opening up of this idea. So, any of the questions you might want to have, Richard put forward in that meeting would be good to hear. If you have any thoughts about that right now or follow-up thoughts.
Right, Richard, my concern was about the commingling of now.
Right,
It's Wellfleet money administered by HPC, but it only goes to Wellfleet people
right,
that we approve. If we give up the control of that, then the question becomes, how are those funds used and for whom? So it may be that we would benefit from a regional approach and that the amount of money we have would get larger, but would the amount of money that actually goes to Wellfleetians get larger?
right.
And the other question I would have is, I don't think we've approved any money for other than Wellfleet.
Right,
Right.
And so we'd have to go through some process of doing that.
right.
Yeah. One of my
I-
other concerns would just be, what's the word I want to use? Not agility, but so many times when people are struggling and need help, it can take a while to work their way through the,
Yeah, we have to be flexible, right? And
so, if it's going to be considered an emergency kind of situation, I'd love to make sure as long as the request was coming from someone at one of the, like our Wellfleet navigator or the navigator, if a request came in from someone like that, it just got met. It didn't have to, I'm not sure a regional one could be that
No,
streamlined, but I would have concerns about the timeline and process for people getting funding.
Mhm.
see, the thing I remember from that shellfish thing I mentioned was that down the road, the thing that happened is people who were unemployed, who got behind on things, never caught up in their budgeting or whatever you want to call it, the way they handled their household management and what have you. And then what would happen is some unanticipated event would come along and really take the legs out from under them. Now, I know this is focused on housing, but I think what can happen is what happened then is folks draw down on their savings, get overextended in different ways, maybe this will be, as somebody already mentioned, supplemental, so that it picks up more of the rental load, so money can be freed up for some of these other
Right.
things that happen in people's lives.
Right. I mean, some of the things that we can't do in terms of, we can do rental. Housing is the big piece of it. So if this fund and towns together could handle more of that, St. Vincent and Lower Cape could have more funding going to those other kind of expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all folks like that need in the middle of all this is like they're driving a 2002 Toyota and I got a big auto bill. They need the car to stay on the road to go to. It's it cascades down. So
Yeah. So I think it's great that the area is looking to pull together to do something which what I would hope would be additional into what each one of us does. So I'm really happy that Richard's willing to go to that first meeting and hopefully stick with it and
Well, I'll try to stick with, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see, where it goes, but I'll show up.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, but if you formulate any other questions that you have, send them around to us and Richard can have those, in his pocket when they get
Once-
together.
Once there's a date set, I'll send a note to us, letting everybody know what the date is, and if there are concerns or comments, they can just forward those to me.
Okay, great. All right, a report on sort of the work that's continuing with the Community Development Partnership as our housing specialist. The housing choice application, we got some sort of bad news, potentially. It was submitted, and Chris Kutchman, the woman sort of in charge of the program at DHCD, was in touch with Pelinda from the CDP, who handled a lot of getting it together and submitting it. And from Chris's look through it, in order to qualify, you have to meet 7 of 14 best practices, and we met 6. We're going to follow up because we had a couple of questions on a couple of the points that they said we didn't meet. One was something as simple as a town had to have a community compact. I can't remember exactly what the name of this thing is, and Wellfleet has one, but the only thing specified in it is economic development, and supposedly your towns had to include housing. I would think our town would be very happy to put that in. I don't know what the process would be, but so that's one. And then also our housing plan, which was approved by the select board, the planning board, and DHCD, apparently is not a certified housing plan. In order for it to be certified, you have to have increased your stock 0.5% or 1% since you did the plan. And that's just not a clear line for us. So we're planning to speak with Chris from DHCD along with Pelinda next week sometime to see if there's any wiggle room, or if not this year, I suppose maybe next year. It just, it would be a helpful designation for us going forward because there would be extra funds available for something like 95 Lawrence Road. So I was really hopeful, but seems like might not quite make it this year. What do you think, Gary? Anything more to add on that?
No, I think you said it well. The certification process, you've got more definition on what certified means?
I'm not really clear on it. I need that explained to me by just reading it. I think part of our dilemma in this case might be that our plan was approved by the select board and the planning board back in maybe late 2017 or 18, but then it fell through the cracks of getting approved by DHCD, and that wasn't done until last July. And I know, we had our 6 Gull Pond and a couple of buy downs come online, but did they come on in that interim between when our town approved the plan and DHCD approved the plan? So I'd like to, discuss that situation with DHCD and see if there's any possibility, because, I just feel like Wellfleet has been doing so much and it's just frustrating.
Elaine?
Yeah.
Is the first objection about getting the word in housing instead of just economic development,
Well,
is that an easier one to go after?
that's what I'd like to find out. Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
if it's an editorial job,
it probably involves some kind of vote of somebody, but that's what I really want to find out. And I don't know if I want to wait till next week to talk to her to find that out, or if we should pursue it sooner.
I think we should pursue it either way, because if we don't need it, we'll need it now. And
Right.
if they don't approve it now, we'll need it in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I don't think we lose anything by working on it.
Yeah.
Elaine, I'd suggest we contact our old consultant, not old, but former,
Karen?
Karen, yes,
Uh-huh.
and ask her the question of certification. She was pretty tied in to DHCD.
Good
And maybe
idea.
she could spearhead that or give us some assistance on that and see if we can't get a clarification that would solve this.
Mhm. That's a great idea. Yeah.
It's really the production plan, Elaine, that was the
Right.
one that we needed a certified production plan as well as our housing needs assessment.
Well, it's the letter from the DHCD says that it's our housing production plan was approved.
Approved, does that mean it's quote unquote certified?
No.
No.
You have to somehow show that since you had an approved plan, you've produced some housing. And we did produce Gull
We
Pond.
do, and we,
But,
Elaine,
but
we,
yeah.
in a sense, we also now can take credit for the buy downs that formerly weren't on our SHI that are now just
Right.
recently approved. So if you count the two of them, certainly relative to our very small number to begin with, we've increased them.
Yeah, so I think it's worth looking into. The interesting news that we got was, we did get our finally Gull Pond and the buy downs, since they were approved by DHCD, onto our subsidized housing inventory. So we've gone to from 1.9 to 2.45% affordable housing. So we've had a little uptick.
25%.
Yeah, but that was one of the other places where we couldn't meet the best practices. We would have had to go up to 3.8 or something, they calculated, to have met that particular best practice. So, they're holding the bar high there, trying to make
Yeah.
things happen. Yeah. So that's still in process, in a way. On the telephone line, gotten the word out pretty far and wide. 2 calls came in via that service and are being followed up on.
I can keep reposting it online. It got definitely some good
Yeah.
attention.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
put it on, was it Twitter or Instagram or something? Is that you, Mia?
No, I don't have either of those. Who put it on?
Does anyone
Instagram.
does anyone do Twitter or what's the other one? Instagram or any of those?
I don't have any of those things.
I don't know.
It might have been Sharon Agger. She
Could've
might
been,
have Instagram.
Anyway.
How do you know, Gary? Are you on the gram?
I somehow have missed it, Mia. I don't know how.
Yeah.
No, people definitely were reposting it, I think. And if it were a normal time, I'd be putting up flyers around town, but
I put
I'm up virtually.
I put one in the marketplace window and the liquor store window.
Oh, good. People
Yeah.
are still going there for
I
sure.
risked it. Yeah.
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 It's
So-
weird not to be able to put stuff up at the library.
I
I
know.
had one question I asked Elaine about. We could theoretically buy an ad in the Provincetown Independent. I don't know what it costs, and I don't know how much it would serve us, but it's a
A
possibility.
digital ad? A digital and print? Or
Yes, both.
I think the digital readership anyway is pretty high. I don't know for sure about the print.
Yeah,
Right.
I haven't even seen a print version since the first ones that they were just kind of sending out. Because
Oh, I
Yeah.
just got one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
I
they're
have a
bunch of
digital
ads in it.
subscription. Yeah, it's pretty popular.
Digital
Barry,
now,
as they
right?
used to say in the Bronx, it couldn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
Well, it depends upon, I have no idea what one costs, but if you
Well-
want, I can send Ed an email and just ask him if we wanted to place an ad, how much would it cost, and do you want to approve up to X or?
Well, why don't you find out? Because,
Yeah.
this is going to be ongoing too. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, find out.
And see, maybe ask him if there's if he'll tell you a significant difference in print or digital readership. Because I don't know who's getting print newspapers right now. They're not going out the store and buying them,
I might have some of that information here. I spoke to Teresa You guys keep going and I'll see if I can pull the rates up in my email.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, or is there a nonprofit rate? Do they, I've read articles, but I haven't looked at those kind of things. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a nonprofit section kind of thing.
I bet they will.
No.
Mhm.
Teresa Parker.
On the housing newsletter, the
You can
button,
unmute Susan. She was on the phone with the Habitat people.
I have unmuted, yes, when I unintentionally disrupted your whole meeting. They're totally fine with it and they'll do anything you want them to do.
but they haven't done any kind of interview or writing yet on our families.
Oh, so Habitat has done nothing. And
Okay.
basically, I mean, they sent me 2 photos, but then I talked to Lisa, right? Was texting with Lisa while we were meeting, and she's totally fine to be interviewed, and her husband would be, and to cooperate in any way that she can.
Great, wonderful.
And the houses, I forget if everybody heard this, but the houses were supposed to be done in September, but they're now projected to be done by June because there aren't any volunteers, they're just professionals working. And guess what? They work faster, as those of us who were there could attest to.
Yeah, so that's great news. And that would be a wonderful thing to be able to share in our first newsletter. Thank you.
And we could get in touch with the other family too, if there's any reason to. They're different.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
What were you
Okay.
saying, Susan, what were you saying?
Yeah, no, I think that was it. Both families, the two families just have very different stories and worldviews and presentations. So we could easily get in touch with the other family as well.
Yeah, a short profile of each might be great. Or, one this time and one next time.
We may want to save that, Elaine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one at
yeah.
a time.
Yeah, well, we also finally had a yes, I'd be happy to do that from Chris Manula, who, is one of our assistant shellfish guys and bought his house recently using the down payment assistance. And he said, oh, I'll do anything, to help. So the CDP will get in touch with him and potentially do an interview with him too. And he knows a couple of the other shellfishing people that also participated in these programs. Maybe he can get them to, get on board for future things. I guess we've had 55 people sign up for the newsletter. So keeping that out there for people to see and sign up would be great too.
So thank you, Susan, for posting it on Press Hall. There's a really simple button that people can spread around. Does everyone have that, and have they been spreading it?
So I've sent it around to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sarah,
Yeah,
can we send it to the real estate people if we haven't already, and to the school?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself after
Oh,
ringing.
that's all right. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Yes, I will send it. I will send it around to the realtors and to the school as well. And I just emailed you guys the rates from the Independent too, which look quite reasonable for online. So, but yes, can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good. And I send out
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, good. I send out a newsletter to all my own clients too, and I thought I would include it there as well.
Excellent.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
think the school is really the key there, Sarah,
I'm not sure if the school is, let me email since I didn't do that yet. I'm not sure if Wellfleet Elementary is doing anything right now. Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I don't.
I can find out.
but
Yeah, I think the staff is working, but I don't think they're running any programs or anything.
No, I didn't mean programs. I just mean like I didn't know whether they were doing, like we get a ton of communication from the charter school because everybody's online learning and stuff. I just wasn't sure what the elementary school is doing, but I can email
Yeah.
Anna Sandus right now. She does all of that. So I'll just ask her.
I sent it to the COA and I don't know that anything went out. And then we heard from Jan that it went to the forum. Did anyone get anything from the forum about it?
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yep. So that's, all those things are going forward, which is great. 95 Lawrence Road, we had a really good, almost 3-hour work session with the select board, all except Janet, who couldn't be there, about going through the RFP and the design guidelines, getting their feedback, their take. I would say for the most part, they were extremely positive and pretty ready to move it forward to get it ready for their approval. I think their big concerns that are definitely worth, making sure about are wanted to make sure that we were going to be providing homes for a lot of the people at the lower income level, because a lot of the young people they know, a lot of the working people they know are at that lower end, 60% or under. That was a big concern. And they had real world questions, like what will the rents be? How do the rents get set? And we couldn't answer them specifically right away. So we have to get back to them on that. And they also had what will that look like? What will the density look like? And other than that, they just really, emphasized we want it to be a neighborhood and a place where people would be proud to live and happy to live, that looks great.
I don't think they understood at first, something that I'm not sure any of us did, that we're going to be forced to have mostly at the lower end. I mean, that's what we want to have, but isn't that what the financing will dictate?
For the most part, I mean, that's where the tax credit money, which is the big money, comes in for 60% and under.
So, I mean, I thought it was good that they weren't concerned we weren't going to have enough housing for people at the upper end. I was more concerned they could go in that direction.
No, yeah. I don't know, Gary, do you want to add a little more color to the report?
No, I thought they were in general very supportive. I'm not sure they understood the building, the design, when that discussion with Andy Freeman came up. And I also think that they were interested in adding money to the pot for design features. And I'm not sure how or why or how that would happen until we actually get the bids.
Right. I mean, in our other projects, once the developer got it, then they requested CPA funds, which is certainly one source.
Right. And although Mike is absolutely right that we can't actually add new features to the bid, the reality is in both Truro and Eastham, there was negotiation after the award that the town ponied up money for different things. Right. And it was a substantial amount of money. So I'm not sure the vehicle they used for that, but I think that we can cross that bridge maybe when we get the RP responses. I don't know.
That's one of the questions I wrote down that I'd like to get a little more information on from people. So we'll work on that. But that, Mike DeBasto asked about using short-term rental monies for it. I don't know what we got last year.
Like the income from our rental properties?
Yeah, from our short-term rentals. Do you have any idea, Sarah? I mean, there's not going to be much this year. So, but in talking to Stuart Saganor from the CPA, he said that the distribution this time is bigger than it's been for a while because of having gotten extra money voted before all this happened. After this round, not sure, but it'll be there'll still be money there, which is great. In terms of the timeline, with town meeting not happening till October, it does cause a little bit of a bump for us. Apparently the town is still preparing to go forward with a Mass Works grant, which I think they open that up soon, and it's due in August. And, you know, looking at it as it's really an infrastructure water issue that has to happen. And Mike Travato, our assistant town administrator, only feels like having an approved RFP from our select board can only enhance the grant. I had sort of thought we needed to have that out with the developer in hand before, but not so. So they're planning on going ahead with that, but it's more the funding timeline for the other funding that we're not sure what's going on. And that I hope to talk to somebody about to find out. Because I think we were told as we were working on the RFP that the funding was August, right, Gary? Applying in August.
Yeah, I don't, maybe the next time we meet with them, or maybe as an aside, I'm not sure that they, I mean, if we were to move forward today, we'd be really excited to have a project by 2025, something like that, that people are actually living in. And so pushing it back another year, obviously, you know, we're talking about 5 years from now, actually having something in place. That's what my interest was, to see if I could move it along, but that fell on deaf ears.
Mm. Well, there's still, I think I had been trying to find information just online about the tax credit program. And like last year, there was a round in December.
Yeah.
I don't know if it happens twice a year, but
The application is in the fall. The award is in the December time period, or I'm not sure.
yeah,
Elaine,
I'm not sure either. So we're trying to look into those things. but-
Elaine,
yeah.
Any word from Laura?
Nope, I did email her and let her know we had a good meeting, that we had questions, and I would hope to have a little bit of her time this week, but I haven't heard back. Our wonderful consultant, Laura Schufelt, has been promoted to she's serving as the acting director of her unit now, where she used to be the assistant director. And they haven't replaced the assistant director, so her workload has increased significantly. And we're fortunate to have her to get, you know, pretty close to the end of the process, but we need to kind of have her expertise to finish this off, I think, and get some information we need. So hopefully that will happen soon. So yeah, I don't know if we'll be pushed back a year or if we'll find a way to go forward, but we're working on it. Anything else on 95 Lawrence? Any questions?
No.
Okay. I put Housing Trust Fund on the agenda because this whole situation with rental assistance has pointed up the shortfall of our housing trust not being able to support rental assistance. Whereas the Massachusetts Municipal Housing Trust that was put forward right around the same time when our town did ours through special legislation does allow that. And so many towns have adopted that. And we've talked about it in the past. You know, we could have town council look at adding support to our trust fund, but some of the feedback I got from like Stuart Saganor at CPC was, well, why stick with an outdated trust when you have this model from the state that you could adopt? So I think it's something to think about. It also would have to be done at a town meeting to dissolve our trust and adopt the new one. So if we felt it was worth doing, we could potentially, if the warrant is still going to be open, we could try to do it in an October town meeting. I don't know if any of you had a chance to read through the legislation. a big difference with it is that the trustees of it would no longer be the housing authority. It's at least a 5-person group that has to include a member of the select board and then other people as needed, which I don't think is a bad thing. It certainly would open up information and about housing to other people. And I'm thinking it's really worth considering and potentially approaching the town about doing, because it would
What do
have,
you think the biggest advantages would be of doing it?
that we could then use our money for supportive housing, and not only just for the creation of housing. It's a lot more detailed on what you can do. So I think it actually protects us and opens us up to many more options for getting money, use of the money. Just really expands, I think, and puts us kind of in line with other towns across the state. When I attended the Housing Institute a couple of times, I was just shaking my head about the Housing Trust, because I said, wow, this is so different what other people are doing. And I just felt that ours is like a little 2-paragraph statement, and this one goes on for several pages, but I think it's a more professional way to go about it. We could take it up again next month if you all want to, spend more time reading through it and see what you think. Or in the interim, I could approach the town about the process if we did decide to do it.
I like the latter idea, Elaine. It doesn't hurt us to ask for an opinion from town council as to the merits and process of changing. Then we could decide whether we want to do it or not. But the first question would be, can we and should we?
I'm with Gary on that, 100%.
I agree.
Okay. I mean, that's the thing we'd have to do anyway, so we might as well get that information used to base our decision. But do read through it and make note of anything that you see as either a concern, positive, negative.
Elaine, I just going forward too, if there is going to be in the future any kind of regional approach to things, I don't want to be in a position, I don't think any of us want to be in a position where it applies to everybody except Wellfleet, because they've got this 2-paragraph thing going on. Well, we don't want to exclude ourselves from opportunities because of the old model, is what I'm
Right,
saying.
which I think is kind of the situation.
Right.
It is the situation.
Yeah.
It's excluding us from doing some things where the greatest need is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I will check into that. I don't have anything else on the agenda. Maybe next time we can talk about our Freeman Avenue lot and what we want to do, if we want to decide that old building on Route 6 will never be moved there and we want to put out an RFP for development.
Elaine, I could send an email to the DCR guy and see if there's been any movement or change or whatever in the current situation. I have a feeling it won't.
Yeah.
You want me to do that?
Well, why not? You can tell them we're thinking of trying to determine what we want to do. But, we have a lot where a house could be built and we have need. So I don't know that we should. And, I think construction, especially small projects, are one of those things that it's going to be able to pick up again carefully. So hate to see that just sitting there when it could potentially be used. So we'll put that on the agenda for next time. There was one other thing about 95 Lawrence. I can't remember right now. Gary, do you think we need another, should the task force get together again after our meeting and with the select board and talk about some of the issues?
I think we should wait to hear from Laura and to get a revised
RFP.
RFP, and then we can make a decision with regard to that. It doesn't hurt to schedule one, I suppose, Elaine, but I
Yeah.
think that it would be a little, there were some unanswered questions, and I think only Laura could help us resolve some of the questions about both timing and the rent amounts. And
Right. I was going to potentially reach out to some other people too while waiting. I don't know if Michelle in Provincetown, she's just, so knowledgeable. She might know the answers to some of those questions too. So keep working on it. Okay, if we go with our regular schedule, our next meeting would be Thursday, June 4th. Or as everybody knows, that work for them?
Yes.
It's fine with me.
Works on my dance card.
Okay, and it seems to be a time town-wise that Zoom is available, so we'll shoot for June 4th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you,
Thanks.
everybody.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voices and hear a little bit about how things are. Yeah,
Thanks for including me, Elaine. I enjoyed listening in.
of course.
Thanks for your
We
participation.
we appreciate your interest
Everybody stay healthy and relatively sane.
and go outside.
Thank you.
Yes.
6 feet apart.
Yep, right. Okay.
Wear a mask.
Bye all.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.